Guys, we're back to part 3 of our little making a game tutorial series. So, where we left off last time was we just finished the Screen Manager class. Right now we're moving on to the Start menu, which is a good way to mimic all the other menus. And then afterwards we're probably going to go on to the Game class, and that'll be the end of the Screen Manager series. We might be able to actually knock that out all in this video. Then we're going to move on to probably background and animation, and then we'll go straight on to the tiles after that. You might have noticed there's another project in here. That's just going to be our editor. All you have to do is click Add on your solution, New Project, choose whatever you want. I chose the XNA one again. So to start off, we just included the framework and the graphics for XNA. We extended screen because the screen. Put a little comment up at the top to say little reminders saying, hey, you should change out this flat, boring background and the text for something a little bit more modern. Maybe like I was saying before, the natural level as the background with characters moving around and mobs and stuff, and maybe interact that way. So going forward, we have a little thing called menu item components. That's in this class. We'll get to that in a second. We have a string of menu items. That's going to be the text displayed on the screen. New game, load game, options, exit. That's the options you saw a little bit earlier. Background's part of our background class. All that really is displaying a texture 2D. Just is it visible? Yeah, if it's visible, draw. That's very simple. Then let's see. We have sprite font. That's just a font. Screen Manager. That's what we just did. Sprite batch. A little drawing thing. So in our constructor, we're setting content equal to game content, and then we're setting Screen Manager in this class equal to whatever gets passed in. So going on to load content, we're initializing new sprite batch and creating a new font. What I just did was I went into my content folder that XNA generates for you and create a folder called fonts. Just add a new item, sprite font. That's all it is. And then I went ahead and I changed it to size 70. So you can actually see it on the screen. But after that, we're just initializing menu components, passing in the font and the string of items that we want to, or string of characters that we want to put onto the screen. We're creating a menu position where we want it to be on the screen. So we're taking the width and we're subtracting the width of the text. And then also we're subtracting our 85 to get it where we wanted it. And then height, you subtract the height, so that puts it effectively right around this lower right corner. Then we just call menu components.setPosition to set it, and then because this is just a variable holding the position, now we actually set the position, and then we create the new background, which is just passing in whatever the texture you want. Because if you remember the idea of object-oriented programming, we don't want to go into the background class, create it, and say, hey, load this picture. No, you want to go into it and say, pass something into me, and I will keep that texture with me, and I will draw that. So you don't have to keep changing it. So that's a good idea. But just switching on over to menu item components real quick, so we can get a handle on this. You got the string of menu items, which we created back in the start menu class. The index for whatever item you're on, the width and height, the position on the screen, and the actual font. Normal color and highlight color are just going to be the colors of the text. So let's say black when it's not selected, or in white when it is, or white when the mouse is over it. Things like that. Then these are just get set methods really. The constructor, we're just passing in the font and the items. So you set the sprite font equal to the local variable. set menu items, that's a method right here. Normal color is equal to black, and highlight color white, like I was saying a few minutes ago. Set position, very simple. You have just setting a position. It's very cool. Set menu items, on the other hand, we're cloning whatever gets passed in, typecasting it to a string array, and then setting equal to that. And then we're also measuring the menu, which is right down here conveniently. So we're going through each string in the menu items array, and we're saying, hey, if the width is less than, we're measuring the string through the sprite font, and if it's less than the x, then the width is equal to the x. And then you just add the line spacing to the height, so it's got that consistent gap between each word in terms of height. Update, very simple. If you're pressing up or W, down or S, that allows you to navigate up or down the menu by like incrementing or decrementing the selected index. And if it's less than 0, set it back to the initial spot. Which is the top of the menu, and if it's greater than the length. Oh, sorry. This is if it's less than 0, so if you're trying to go past the first one, then that sets you at the bottom one, and then likewise, if you try to go past the last one, it'll set you back to the first one. And then we're going to add mouse control later, like this comment just reminded us. And then draw, very simple. You're just setting the position. You're creating a variable called menu position. We're setting that equal to whatever position is, and then we're creating an index, and we're saying, hey, if it's less than menu items dot length, so however many words you have to write, and then we're also saying, so if this word is equal to whatever word we're selecting, then draw that with a highlight color, draw that with white, and then else, if it's not the selected one, draw it in black. And that's what that's why we have 2 different draw strings. And then menu position dot y, add line spacing, so it's got that consistent gap. So as you see that between the new game and low game and options and exit, there's the same gap between all of them. So if we go back to the start menu, we're at this amazing update method, which is this kind of like switch statement that I was talking about in the first video. So we're looking for a release of the enter key. So if you press enter, it's gonna select one of these things, and then we're like, okay, did you press enter? Yes, you did. Okay, now let's check something else. We'll check what the selected index is. So we're going into the menu components, and 0 is the new game, so we haven't created anything for that, which should actually be this right now. And then 1's the load game, 2 is the change screens to options, so that's the option screen, and 3 is exit, so just exit out the whole game. Something we can change later is new game, just changes you do like a character generator screen. I don't know why we'd have that. Maybe like a name input screen. And then change screens to the load game can, instead of loading to whatever we just do now, the main world, we can load from a file. And that'll keep all the values what we want it to be. An option screen is just like full screen, windowed, resolution, stuff like that. The menu components to update checks to see if you're going up or down. So we need to call that. Draw, very simple. Just like in a lot of programs, you have to call begin and end, so it actually knows when we're drawing. So then we draw the background first, then the menu components. And that's very important, because in 2D, the drawing order is very important, because the thing that's drawn first is going to be behind the thing that's drawn last. So if we did menu components, then background, the background, you won't be able to see the text because the background's drawn over it. And then we just pass in sprite batch. And the main world is also screen, but that's nothing to that right now. Let's venture on over to the, let's get rid of that. Venture on over to the game This is our main game class that gets generated when XNA starts, and this is what's running. This is like the main type for your game. This is what's running all the time. So we have all the stuff that's given to us, the graphic device manager. We create a static sprite batch so we can call it from anywhere. We have a start menu, main world, option screen, screen manager. You have to, how the screens are set up, you have to create them in the all of them in the game class. So that's very important. I just set this equal to a window more or less, so no full screen. The width and height to be 1920 by 1080 because that's my screen. Components.add, we add the keyboard input so we can detect that key release, key down thing. Screen manager, pass in the game. Then we add screen manager to the components because it is a game component, so it's running all the time. And then start menu and main world and option screen we just initialize. And we have to pass in whatever the screen manager is so it knows who's checking in with. And then we immediately change screens to the start menu. So what's going on right now is we just changed, we just went from, okay, we're sitting in our game class, to we're still using the game class, but we're mainly like working in the start menu. So, because like you see, like the initialize, all we're doing is setting the title of the actual window. Load content, nothing there. Unload content, nothing there. Update, nothing there, except for the way to get out of the game, escape. And draw, nothing there. So I mean, everything is taking place in the screen manager right now. Like it's doing all the drawing and stuff, and then that's, you know, referring back to screens. Everything can be done in these like screens, like all the draw and stuff, and that gets, you know, thrown into a screen manager, and that's done in the game class. It's very cool. So amazing stuff going on today. We actually now have the ability to do this. You now have the knowledge to do that. If you go, and if you look back here, that whole touching on the background thing, we just load texture 2D. So that's, it's saying go into the content pipeline that I created when you first created the project. Look for, you know, type texture 2D texture, and go into our background folder, and then blue sky or blue eye sky, and look for that exact text. You don't need the file name, and that'll load that up, and it'll give you the whole set it equal to that variable, make sure it's visible, and if it's visible, draw it. Easy enough. So next time, very exciting, we should be doing animation. Probably touch base on characters real fast, and then once we do the whole characters, once we get like a character on the screen animating, we will very simply jump into tiles. What we're doing with tiles is we're gonna create the tile, the map layer class, props for inanimate things. We're gonna create all of those things. Then we're gonna jump into an editor, and with that editor, we'll be able to design all our levels instead of having to like try and code it with things like because like sometimes you can like do a map like, oh, like this is X's are grass tiles and zeros are water, and or you could, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff you can do in ways to like design maps in the code, but map editors are just so much more efficient, and they're, you know, visual, and there's so many benefits to them that's just ridiculous. So we're gonna jump in the animation next, and just keep on tuning in the episodes, guys. There's always a annotation for the next video at the end of the video if it's come out, and there's also a link to the Monster Cat music. So just keep tuning in.